City of Yonkers of a charter amendment done by a local law in late November, early December of this year, by which the mayor, city council president, and the 7 members of the council are all now permitted to run for a 4th consecutive term. That is altering the term limits in the charter as amended 4 years ago. The first allegation in the petition and complaint is that that alteration contravenes the city charter because it was enacted by individuals with a self-interest and a benefit in the enactment, which is prohibited by the ethical standards of the charter. The second allegation and principal allegation of the complaint is that in order to have this kind of change under New York State general municipal home rule law, a mandatory referendum is required, and none was set by the enabling local law legislation. And that a state Supreme Court judge, if he or she does not declare null and void the adoption to begin with, by dint of the conflict of interest which contravenes the charter, he or she should establish in 2023 a mandatory referendum before this becomes effective. This would leave to the voters of Yonkers the question of whether to make effective or not make effective this local law change. The issues are going to be put before then a state Supreme Court justice in Westchester County in White Plains, and again he or she will decide the merits of the matter in the dispute. Individuals who've joined together are from numerous political perspectives, positions, and the like. And while they may agree on nothing else, they agree that it is critical that basic principles, conflicts of interest avoidance, and voter participation and democracy be upheld. And that's what we're out here doing in 28-degree weather, in the back of City Hall, a place frequented by me for the last 42 years for different various occasions and events. That's what we're here about. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to entertain them. I believe his opinion. Mr. to my left may have a few comments he would like to make. He's one of the members of the petitioner plaintiff group.
No, just happy to be here with so many friends and neighbors, as Mr. Sussman said, across the political spectrum. This is not about left versus right. This is not about anything other than giving the people of Yonkers a choice and a voice. And we can think of no one better than Michael Sussman himself, who has proven that he is willing to put the needs of the people of Yonkers above politics time and time again. And so we are grateful for the media to be here to cover this, to let the people of Yonkers know that even if they feel intimidated to come down here, that this is your city, that this is your home, that you pay taxes here, that you raise families here, that you turn the house into a home here. And in order to make sure that the people get the Yonkers that was promised, and we cannot continue to have a small group of people who feel they have the power to make decisions on behalf of the people in backroom deals that in many ways undermine the will of the people time and time again. So thank you so much. I don't know if there's some other people that might say something.
I'm going to ask you, former member of the Yonkers City Council, who also would like to speak.
Everybody that the city voted twice for a referendum, and it could have been removed now. It was 20 years, I believe, since the last one. It would have been a perfect time for another one to have been introduced, but the city council chose not once but twice to do that. What I call now what they're doing is the abstain 16. The President of the United States gets 2 4-year terms. They want 16 years, 8 years. 2 more terms more than the president needs to run the country. What's interesting is they don't get to overturn the referendum. They're going to want this. This is what they chose to overturn. Thank you for coming down. Later on here.
All right, well again, I want it to be very clear that for me, this is not about whether the mayor is a good or bad mayor. I don't want that to be the question that people are focused on. I don't think that is the question. The president might be, as many felt Mr. Obama was, a wonderful president who didn't then go ahead and extend the term limit. Might be a terrible president. That's not the issue. The issue is more structural. fundamental. If you have a charter which says you cannot vote to benefit yourself, and you go and you vote and then sign the legislation which benefits yourself, you're contravening the charter. If you have a situation, which we do in New York State law, which says that if you're going to change terms, you're going to change the structure of your government, which this is doing, that is subject to mandatory referendum. You may have the best mayor in the world or the worst mayor in the world. It's subject to a mandatory referendum. And when we make our law about more subjective elements, we diminish the law, we devalue the law. And that, to me, is the fundamental principle issue here, and that's what I'll be arguing to. Anybody with any questions, please feel free to ask them. Yes, please.
You're talking about a referendum, so who do you think should be making this decision?
Well, the law is very clear. It's not again what Michael Sussman thinks. That's never the issue. The issue is there's a law in New York State, Section 23 of the Municipal Home Law, which requires and calls it a mandatory referendum. The voters of the city, as Mr. Pinion indicated, have the right to make the decision in a mandatory referendum. A referendum means there's a vote. The vote is anybody who's registered to vote can come out that day and vote. The question on the ballot is, should there be an extension to the 4th year or shouldn't there be? That's it. This is not rocket science. This is not difficult. This is what ought to be done under the state law, period. Anyone else? Mr. Harris, do you have any questions or inquiries you'd like to make?
Well, what's the process? How does it continue forward from now?
The process is that the city is served with legal papers. They have to be served with the judge where to respond in court. They respond in court. The judge does or doesn't hear oral argument, which is the court's prerogative, and then makes the decision on the applications that have been made. And then that decision is not, of course, final in the sense that it's decided to appeal to the Second Department, which is an appellate authority in Brooklyn. And from that, there could be a further appeal to the Court of Appeals, which is the highest court in the state. But all that has to be done through the legal process. I do want to make one other very brief comment, and that is this. I know that in the debate that occurred here in late November, fisticuffs were part of that debate. There were very high emotions, and I know that people on all sides feel very strongly about this. We are using the court system to adjudicate and determine an important public issue. That issue is whether this was properly voted upon and signed by people with an interest in the issue, which is issue number one. And issue two, even if that's not true, even if they were allowed to vote, is the mandatory referendum required? We're using the courts to get resolution to those issues. That's how these things should be decided in our country at this point. We don't need to be in the streets fighting each other. We don't need a civil war. We don't need any of that. We need a proper, reasoned resolution. That's what we're doing. All right, well, thank you all for being here. Thank you for braving the cold. Those behind me, I can see the support. And we're going to go reserve now. Thank you.